More dating nightmares. They just don't stop.
Okay, first date nightmare story. So I matched with this guy on Bumble. He asked me on a date, and I agree, of course. He's an ex-Marine, so the night before he tells me that someone that he was in combat with passed away, and he's really upset about it. So I was like, we can totally reschedule, not a big deal, I understand. Doesn't want to reschedule. Asks me to meet him at his house. We'll go to a lantern festival in Philadelphia, which sounded really cool, something totally different. So I was totally down for it. So I drive down to Philly. I make almost an hour drive there. I pull up to his house and I tell him I'm here, and he greets me and he is completely wasted and shirtless. He gets dressed and he's like, come on, let's go. So I'm thinking we're going to this lantern festival. No, he brings me to his neighbor's 50th surprise birthday party at a VFW, in which I had to help set up with complete strangers that I didn't know, and they had no idea who I was.
Probably should have just rescheduled, my man. I get it. That's a rough day. You chose to get drunk. We're going to a party. That's not the first date I'm looking to have. Absolutely not. Especially with a complete stranger. Like, we haven't met before and that's how we're meeting. That's awkward for everybody. Not quite the same vibe. A lantern ceremony? Wasted at my neighbor's 50th birthday party.
Hi, my name is Taylor, and I'm going to tell you about one of my Tinder horror stories. So anyway, I was 18 and I had just kind of gotten on Tinder, and I was talking to this guy. I talked for a while and he was like, do you want to go out for drinks? And I was like, sure, sounds good.
People use Tinder at 18? Oh my God. I feel like at 18 you have so much opportunity to go out there and meet people. You're so young. There's so many things to do. Or just don't meet anybody because you're so young and have a blast. Anyways, I didn't know people use Tinder that young.
Go to this drink place, I get there first. He says he's approaching me. I look up. The man that is approaching me looks nothing like his pictures. Like vaguely, but also not really at all. So he also looked way, way older than what he looked like. And I was like, oh, red flag. Anyway, get to the date and it was horrible. We were talking and it was so awkward. We had almost nothing in common. The conversation wasn't flowing. It was noticeably awkward for both of us. And I was 18. I didn't know any better. I should have just gotten up and said, hey, I'm going to go now. But I was kind of just dropping vague hints like, okay, well, it's getting late, I should go. And he'd be like, no, let me like buy you another drink. So I stayed. Anyway, gets towards the end of the night, I go to leave and he was like, oh, do you want to go for a walk on like the boardwalk? Like, because we were on a beach. And I should have said no. I should have said no.
You should have said no.
I did, and I went for a walk.
A walk at night when you're 18 with someone you don't know? Oh my God. My parents would have a heart attack.
Stranger danger!
And it was still noticeably awkward at this point. Anyway, we're walking and Mans goes to grab my hand. And anybody who knows me, even at the age of 18, gross. I don't like it. So he goes to do that. I like pulled my hand away and it was like really awkward, and I was like, oh, don't do that, please. And we're walking awkward. And we get to the end of this like boardwalk area and Mans like turns to me and goes to kiss me, and I was like no. And I dodged it and it was so awkward, and I'm pretty sure I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom.
Now, if I didn't want to hold your hand, what makes you think I want to kiss you?
Like, text my best friend everything that was happening. She was like, you gotta get out of there. Anyway, go back out and I was like, yo, my best friend's dying. I have to go home right now. And he was like, okay, well, let me drive you home. And I should have said no, but I was like, after a bit of arguing, he ended up taking me home, get in his car.
Oh my God, so now he knows where you live. You got in his car, he could have kidnapped you. Oh my God, my 32-year-old heart is just, I'm so glad you're safe.
I get into his fucking passenger seat and I look at the door and I'm like, brethren, where is your door handle? And he was like, oh, sorry, this car only opens from the outside. And I was like, you could have told me that before I got in your car. Anyway, it drops me off. Get out the car, goes in for another kiss, and I was like, dude, like, don't. Anyway, I go back inside. Mans has the audacity. He texts me when I get inside. He was like, hey, Taylor, look, it was really fun hanging out with you, but I think this isn't going to work out between us. I think you're a fun girl, but I think, I don't think you're right for me. So we're just going to leave it there. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. If that's the call that you want to make, sure thing, broski. And then I went inside and now I know how to leave dates that I don't want to be on anymore.
Well, I'm glad the lesson was learned, girl, because you made a lot of not safe decisions. But who am I to judge? At 18, I was doing some dumb shit, so. Lila, I can hear you snoring. If you hear my dog snoring, it is what it is.
If you thought that modern dating could not get any worse, let me just show you. A little backstory that I matched with this guy. We had a few conversations back and forth, but I'm pretty straightforward about what I'm looking for and what I want now. So I don't really play the back and forth game too much. But he asks how my day is going. I tell him like what I have to do that day and whatnot. And then he responds with this. He tells me that he just woke up and that he got Chick-fil-A. And then he said, so when am I seeing you is the question though. To which I respond, when are you planning the date? Because at this point in my life, if you're not planning a date, we're not going out. And this is his response.
Oh no.
I don't really do random dates. I like to meet someone first and see if it's going to go somewhere, and then I'll gladly take you on a date. If we vibe or click, I would take you on a date as soon as you're free. When I tell you that the bar is in hell,
what?
It's a date. I'm not asking you to give me your kidney.
I'm confused, but even if we meet and stuff, technically that's still a date, but you're just saying you don't want to pay for it. Is that what's said? Like, we can meet and hang out, but I'm not taking you on a date until we've met? Interesting. All aboard. Hydration station time. Drink some water. It's good for you. Cheers.
This was probably by far the worst date that I had ever been on. If you're new here, I'm a behavior analyst and I give relationship and self-growth advice. But before that, I had to kind of go through my own experiences to really learn what I've learned.
I met this guy on Hinge, and I don't think it's a Hinge issue. I met my current boyfriend on Hinge, and he's wonderful. I just generally think that I need to stop picking people that I wanted to try to fix or had unrealistic expectations. This guy was a paramedic, obviously first responders. Their schedules are crazy, but he seemed really nice, and the conversation was great. Night before our date, this man calls me. He calls me complaining about a girl he took out on a date the night before he was supposed to take me out. Saying he couldn't understand why she had a problem that he was so late. Couldn't understand why she didn't understand that a first responder schedule was so crazy. I'm sitting on my bed like, okay. Yeah, no, I totally get you. That's pretty stressful. Like, that's not fun. Like, you know, you need people who are trying to be understanding of your job. Why, Christina? Anywho, he goes, so we're good for tomorrow, right? We're confirming for tomorrow. You want to get ice cream? And I was like, sure, no problem. Then the next day comes and he's texting me throughout the day and he's like, hey, I'm going to pick you up around like 6:30. We'll go get ice cream, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, perfect. He's like, okay, cool. I'm just going to finish my shift off and then I'm going to, you know, take a nap and everything. Okay, this is at 9 a.m.
He's gonna be late.
This man finishes his shift and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take a nap. And I was like, hey, if you need more time, please let me know. I totally get it. You probably had a really long day. We can even push it to 7 or even 8. This was the summer. I didn't really care. He goes, no. I'm gonna pick you up at 6:30. I was like, okay. And then 6 o'clock rolls around. 6 o'clock rolls around and I'm waiting on my couch, ready to go. Nothing. 6:30 comes, I call him like, hey, is everything okay? No answer. 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, okay, he's an hour late. I texted him, still no answer. So I'm like, I'm gonna go change. 7:30, I get a call. And he calls me and goes, sorry, I fell asleep. And me trying to be understanding, I get it. You're a first responder, you had a long shift. I'm like, okay, like, no worries. We can just cancel. No. I know if we cancel, then you're never going to talk to me again. We're not going to see each other. I was like, that's literally not what I said. You're tired. Like, we can cancel. He goes, no. I'm going to come pick you up and take you on a date. I'm like, okay. 8 o'clock rolls around. I get another call. He goes, I haven't even left yet. I actually was just lying down, chilling on my phone. Are you okay if I come in basketball shorts? I'm like, sir, you were 2 hours late and you want to now come in basketball shorts. Also, why are you calling me, asking me if you could come in basketball shorts? I was like, listen, you do you. It's not good look for you. It's a first date. But hey, if you want to come in basketball shorts, I'm not going to say anything. I was like, no. I'll dress up. Okay, it's fine. Hangs up the call. He calls me again.
Oh, God.
This is now 8:15. Still hasn't left yet.
Don't bother.
He goes, hey, are you okay if I go vote? This is when the election was happening. I'm in Canada, okay? And I go, can we just cancel the night, please? You're 2 hours and 15 minutes late. Like, it's good. I'm good. We don't have to go out tonight. The's clearly a lot going on.
When I tell you, it wouldn't even be a decision for him to make. I would cancel.
Decision for yourself. No, it's okay. I'll come get you. I'm gonna leave right now. And then he leaves, and he comes and he picks me up at 9:15 when the date was at 6, and the date begins.
You still went?
Oh, this is part 3 of my worst date ever. So he picks me up and he's like, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I thought we were going for ice cream. And he goes, oh, yeah. Like, where you want to go? I'm like, you don't know where you're going to take me? Like, didn't you have that planned? He goes, yeah, well, okay, well, what's around here? And I was like, okay, like, I guess there's like a Menchie's close by because he didn't live near me. So we get to Menchie's, we get our ice cream, we sit down. And this man just talks about himself and his job and the girls that he's taking out on a date, his exes, all of that. Don't bring your exes up on a first date. Talks about all of that, and we're like, okay, like, I think I'm good to go home. And he goes, okay, well, it's still early. Like, we just started a date. And I was like, you were 2.5 hours late. He's like, no, like, let's go do something. I'm like, okay, like, what do you want to do? And he's like, just get in the car and we'll find out. I'm like, okay. I get in the car.
Could have been really sketchy, but sure, let's just hop in the car. Let's just go with it, you know? I don't know, maybe, is that normal? Are you guys getting in a stranger's car on the first date? Maybe if they're not picking you up from home. I don't know. I got trust issues.
Our activity was literally just driving around the area for over an hour, just still talking about him. The night ends, he gives me a kiss of goodnight, and he looks at me and he goes, I want to take you out on a second date. And I was like, listen.
He kissed you?
If you want to take me out on a second date, it's got to be better than this. Like, you need to plan better. And he gives me a kiss and looks me dead in the eyes and goes, I think you're being dramatic. I planned this pretty well. No, he was not joking. And I was like, excuse me, sir? You planned this well? This is you planning well? Fast forward when he did try to take me out on a second date, then he started talking about how he had the same issues with another girl. I don't condone ghosting, but I did ghost this man. And I would have done it again and again because what the hell was that?
Why is this guy even trying to plan dates when he clearly doesn't want to go on them? Like, bro, they're not a priority. You're half-assing it. I don't even know why you keep planning all these dates. And he's planning a bunch of them with different girls. For what? Why? You don't even want to go, it seems.
Am I the asshole in this situation, or are my actions justified? I had a first date scheduled yesterday, and we planned on meeting for brunch at 2 at a place that he picked, and he actually said 2 o'clock works best for me. No problem, sounds great. See you there. I leave my place at 1:40 and send him a text saying, heading that way. I don't hear from him until 1:55 as I'm parking. And he says, oh my gosh, I haven't even left yet. So sorry. I'll be there by 2:10. I'm a little irritated, but I'm like, whatever, not a big deal. I'll just go get a seat and grab a drink. No big deal. So I'm sitting there waiting. 2:10 rolls by. I don't hear from him. 2:15, don't hear from him. 2:20, still haven't heard from him. At this point, I just asked the waitress, bring me my check. I'd like to pay for my drink. As I'm signing my bill at, I think it was like 2:23, 2:24, he texted. He was like, hey, I'm looking for parking. It's a disaster. Might take me another couple of minutes. At 2:30, I was like, this, I'm over it. And I got up and I left. Not even 2 minutes after walking out the door, I get a phone call from him and I send it to voicemail. And then I get a text from him and he was like, hey, I just walked in. I don't see you anywhere. Did you leave? To which I responded, yes, I left. I don't wait 30 minutes for anyone, especially not on a first date.
That is some queen energy right there. Some queen energy.
In my mind, it is completely disrespectful to make somebody wait for you for 30 minutes. And he was the one that picked the time and the place. Like, he knows the parking situation way more than I do. I left at an appropriate time to make sure that I was like, I know it's only like 10 minutes from my place, but I gave myself 20 minutes to get there, find parking, because I like to respect people's time. I don't want people having to wait for me. I'll wait 5-10 minutes, not a big deal, but 30 minutes is crazy. After I sent him the text, I just blocked him and unmatched him on the dating app because I don't really have anything else to say. There's no coming back from that for me. Like, You kind of showed me who you were to begin with, and that's really all I need to see. That's like a big red flag and deal breaker for me. But I'm curious to know, like, am I the asshole for leaving after 30 minutes, or is that kind of, the right thing to do?
All right, guys, let me know. What would you do? Do you think she's an a-hole for doing that? I don't think she's an a-hole. I think I totally get why people would be bothered by you being 30 minutes late to the date and letting me know like 5 minutes before, being like, oh, I haven't left. It seems like he kind of forgot about the date. I don't think you're an a-hole. I understand it. Whereas I also get some people might have seen that as like, oh, I was just understanding. I stayed, I waited the 30 minutes and I went on the date. I feel like maybe it would depend on my mood that day. I would be irritated though on a first date if they were late like that.
What would you do if a guy asked you out on a romantic date and then arrived 2 hours late with 4 of his friends? Oh, but it's worse than that. Just brace yourself. So I'm dating this guy for about 3 weeks, and I think it's really important to mention the fact that he's Saudi Arabian, because maybe this is customary in that culture. Saudi, Middle Eastern people, please let me know in the comments. So 3 weeks into us dating, he invites me out for a romantic dinner at Nobu. And us girls know.
Oh, Nobu's fancy.
He's gonna ask you to be his girlfriend. Anyway, I'm preparing for this date like it is my freaking coronation. Like, I bought a dress, I bought new hair extensions, I got my nails done. I was so excited. Then I was even less excited when on the evening of the date, he texts me and tells me that he is going to be 2 hours late because unexpectedly his friends flew in from Saudi Arabia. One thing you gotta know about me is that I try so hard to be a cool girl because I don't want to be like those other girls. I'm a little bit of a pick-me. So I get to the place, I sit at the bar, and I'm waiting for about an hour, and he's just pushing the time back further and further. He tells me that his friends are like super excited to see him.
2 hours late and you're just waiting at the bar for an hour? Couldn't catch me. I'd rather wait at home in my PJs until the time you're about to leave and then I'll leave.
And who am I to say no? Eventually he's on his way and I say, okay, I'm gonna go up to the hostess stand and I'm gonna go get her table. So I go up to the hostess and I say, so-and-so has a reservation tonight. And the lady looks at me like I literally have 3 heads. And I'm like, oh cool, I guess this night was so important to him that he completely forgot to make a reservation. But thankfully she did have a table open up in like the lounge area, but the only thing that sucked was that the whole menu wasn't available there, but whatever. At this point my self-worth was so low, I was like, who cares? So I go to sit down at the table and I finally get a text message that he is walking through the door, and I'm kind of excited because I'm gonna finally get to meet his friends, and that's not what happens. In he comes with 4 gorgeous Saudi women. Oh, and there was actually a 5th one, some like random Ukrainian chick. Now that I look back on it, he did talk about a Ukrainian coworker having a crush on him, so I'm just going to assume that that was her. But yeah, I just decided that I was going to handle things as calmly from that point on, so I got up, I started screaming and crying, and I caused a scene in front of the entire restaurant, and then I called myself an Uber. And I had this crazy maniacal look on my face, like my mascara was streaming down my face, but I was smiling because I knew that I was going to deliver the best line of my life as soon as he brought me to the Uber. He brings me to the Uber, I look at him, and with my tear-stained eyes, I say, I will never speak to you again. And I get in the Uber, and what do? I text him the next day. Anyway, what would you do if that happened to you?
I mean, you already did things that I would never do. In all honesty, I wouldn't just be like, oh, okay, you're gonna be late? Yeah, no problem. 2 hours, then sit there for an hour. Girl, you're already putting in more effort than I ever would. And that's probably why I would be single. If I was in that situation, I'd be single for a long time.
Guys, the craziest thing just happened, and I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy or I'm not in the wrong. So I met this guy 5 days ago, and we never really met in person. We've just been texting, and he was off the bat a really nice guy. But then I realized like he would do this thing where he would basically like blow up my phone if I didn't answer him within like 5-10 minutes. Like, I didn't send him a text for like maybe 10 minutes, and then I looked at my phone and I had like 20 texts from him, and it would be like, hey, where are you? Did something happen? Hey. And I realized like he kind of was obsessive over me, and it was really weird because I've never met this guy. Anyways, this guy was like, I'm gonna marry you, you're the woman of my dreams.
Immediately
and like
annoyed.
he's talking about all these,
Just my opinion, just my take, that kind of energy, immediately annoyed. Leave me alone.
things that we're gonna do, spend our summer together. I don't know. Anyways, he made a plan for today of us going out. And he was like, oh, we're gonna go out at 4 o'clock. And he said this to me like 2 days ago. So today, this morning, I asked him, I'm like, oh, are we gonna meet today like at 4 or 5? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And I was like, what do you mean maybe? Okay, like, what do you mean maybe? And he's like, I can't control traffic. It might be 5 o'clock. It might be 4:30. Like, I'll let you know, like, closer to the time. And I was like, what the hell? What the actual hell? You made this plan. You made this plan for us to see each other. And now you're acting like I'm the one begging to see you. And then I don't know, what really irked me was like him saying, I can't control traffic. Like, I can't control when I get there. That's not normal to say to someone. Anyways, and then I was just like, I'm not okay with that. Like, you need to tell me a set time so we can meet there, right? Like, that way I would know when to leave. And then he starts going off on me. He's like, you're making me angry. Like, I'll be there when I can. Like, I can't control time. I can't control XYZ. And then he blocks me. He blocks me on everything. Okay, he's like, the last text he sent, he's like, enjoy, go out with whatever guy you want, I don't care, and then gone.
You dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet. This was honestly, this worked out, best case scenario. There was red flags from the start, and then after this, okay, goodbye. Thank you for doing me the favor by blocking me and never speaking to me again. Blessing.
I've just been on what might be the worst date I've ever been on. Let's start with this guy basically begged me for a date. I had seen differences in us as a whole. He told me that he wasn't really into brown women. And, well, if it wasn't obvious, I am an Indian woman. So I was like, yeah.
I can't say, okay, yeah, I can't say I would go on that date or stay on that date if someone literally looked at me like, not sure I'm into like white women with brown hair, you know? Not really my thing. I have nothing else to offer.
I just don't really think like you're going to be that attracted to me, if I'm honest, because I'm clearly not your type, even though you are a brown man, but you know, it's fine. He was like, no, please, like, let's just go on a date. We'll do a nice walk along the river. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, fine. We can do a quick date. Turns out he picked the location off the back of a really early conversation we'd had where we were talking about like where we really like in London. And I said, there's this really nice river walk near like London Bridge. It's really nice at light. And, you know, I've spent a lot of time around there. I just think it's quite pretty. So he decided to meet at London Bridge. He was 25 minutes late. He did bring me chocolate, however, for being late. And I will say, they are M&S chocolates. So I'm sure these will be delicious. Like, I'm sure he was
there was some
even
effort
later
there
because he went and bought me chocolate. It's freezing cold in London. So I was stood there like a tit in the cold, freezing my arse off, waiting for him. I meet him. Obviously, he gives me these chocolates. And then he has no clue where he's going because he's like, I've never really been in this area. I also got off at the wrong exit at the station. So that's why I'm an extra 5 minutes late as well. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I will direct then. I didn't really realise that I was like planning this date. You asked me on the date, but it's fine. We start walking. He takes the piss out of his community. Major red flag for me. Like, it's the first day. Why are you roasting the Muslim community as a Muslim man? Like, just doesn't really sit right with me. Then tries to tell me that he knows where I live better than I do, even though he's never lived there. Then also tries to offer me career advice, even though he doesn't work in my industry and I didn't ask for it. I apparently was walking too fast. I was walking at like a fairly normal pace. He was like, can we just slow down? I was like, yeah, you're fine. So I'm there like walking at a snail's pace, like, well, this is just a bit awkward. I don't know, I feel like us Londoners, we walk fairly quickly. And he has been a Londoner for 15 years. So it's not like you're new to the city. Anyway, so then we like sat down, still freezing my absolute tits off.
When I tell you, I walk so fast. Matt is always like, just slow down. I'm like, bro, I live in Toronto. Do you know how fast I'm walking to get to be where I need to be? Yeah, I walk very fast. But you know what? When there's traffic, I bet I could walk there faster if you drove, because you're just sitting in traffic. Don't test that theory.
I was like, we could get coffee. And I was like, well, yeah, do you know anywhere that's going to be open at this time though? Because we're in the business district. So like most of them kind of shut before like work finishes. Like, I don't really know any that are open. They go, we can take a walk if you want. He was like, oh, I don't really know anywhere around here. I was like, okay, well, it's fine. I was directing him for the rest of the walk and he was like, oh, this bit looks a bit dodgy. You're not going to try and like kidnap me like this chavvy Croydoner that you are. And I was like, do I look chavvy? Do I sound chavvy? Do I act chavvy? Anyway, so then I looped us round the short way because I wanted the date to be over. I just feel like I've wasted an hour of my life, to be honest. I mean, he was all right. It's just very much not for me. I'm sure he'll make someone else very happy, but is this the standard for a first date? I mean, I apparently planned the date and I didn't even realise. This time of year has the best dates. Bonfire night, Christmas markets, etc, etc. Please utilise the good dates. They can also be very, very affordable / free and weather appropriate. Honestly, the whole time I was thinking, look, it's dinner time. I just want to go home. Eat some food. Dating really has its highs and lows, and that's an hour I'm never going to get back, so someone told me it gets better.
This actually reminds me of the first date Matt and I had. Ours was a good date though. And I'll tell you the story, but I don't want to bore people who don't care to hear it, so I'll tell it at the end of this video. You're welcome. For those who are like, please shut the f up and don't tell me, because I don't care. Moving on.
Hi guys. I'm at a restaurant by myself because my date ended within 5 minutes of meeting each other. It's the first time in years of dating that I haven't been able to actually have a date with somebody. They arrived, and as soon as we started talking, it was almost like an argument. And then it was like, I hope we're not going to fight on this first date. I've been on so many first dates, and I was like, this is making the hair on my skin like prickle, and his attitude. And I was like, if you don't want to be on this date, I think it's okay, we can end it. And this guy gets up, takes his jacket, and just says, I'm out of here. So now I'm by myself, and I'm eating, and I'm okay. Ask me any questions.
Wow. What a vibe. She's like, well, I'm gonna take myself out tonight. What could you be arguing with? What could you be arguing about with a stranger in the first? Oh, you know what? There's a lot of things. I take that back. So many things. People argue over nothing. Just check out my comment section. People get really mad that I react to videos on my reaction channel. It's hilarious.
Story time. I just got back from going out on a date, and no, 10 out of 10 do not recommend going out with this man.
Oh.
So we meet up for boba, and first of all, he gets there like 30, almost 40 minutes after I got there. I should have fucking left before, bitch. I should have left. I should not have sat there and waited, but I waited. We go in, he pays, good, perfect. We sit down. This man is so far in my space, I cannot drink my boba in peace. He is literally like, his face is right next to my face, and I'm like, you need to like take a step back. Like, you are way too close to me right now. Stop. In the bubble. Get out of my bubble. So after we've sat there talking for a while, we go outside to go talk. This man starts shaking like a chihuahua. And when I tell you, this is all I was wearing, this thin, long sleeve top. He is wearing a full leather jacket. And I'm like, why are you shaking like a chihuahua right now? What, are you okay? But like, he keeps like doing this thing where he like looks at me, open his mouth, and then like looks away and he won't talk to me. And he keeps getting closer and I'm like, step back, step back. You are too far in my space, sir. Get out. So then like he keeps leaning in further and further, and I'm like, I know you want to kiss me at this point. And he's just like, is this in your bubble? Is this in your bubble? And I'm like, oh my god, either shut up and kiss me or fucking go away. The kiss was not it. 10 out of 10 do not recommend going out with this man.
Oh, well, I don't even know why you allowed him to kiss you. You wouldn't allow him in your space, but you allowed him to kiss you? If someone's in my space and they're making me uncomfortable, there's no way I'm letting them plant one. Now, if you want to hear the cute little story of my first date with Matt, it was actually on Christmas night. Literally. And everything was closed because everything's closed on Christmas night. So he took me, he didn't tell me where we were going, and then he took me to this little like park out on the water, and it had all these Christmas lights, and you would walk through all these like cool Christmas lights and stuff. And I did not allow him to pick me up at home because I didn't know the man. So I let him pick me up at my friend's house because I was responsible. Turns out he's not a serial killer. Yeah, and since I didn't dress, like, he's like dressed warm, but I didn't know what that meant, he packed mittens, a hat, a blanket, and then we stopped and we got tea for me to hold on the walk. It was all thought out. It was so planned. And then, anyways, that was our first date. Goodbye. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy out there.